So what's going on guys, Kate is here and welcome back to a brand new video. For today I will show you the best updated Necromancer build in Diablo Immortal. So at the start I will explain how to play this class, then we will look into the best skills, rotations and attributes that you want to use. Then later we will go over the awakening, best stones, where to use your paragon levels, and even which gems you want to use on your gear. And then lastly I will show you the best gameplay, so you would know how to get out your abilities, the highest damage possible and much more. So if this sounds interesting to you, then let's get right into it. So Necromancer in the endgame has strong AoE and crowd control abilities, as well as summons that let him do a bunch of damage or become a support player. This class is basically really good at almost all roles, and on top of everything else you get a new resource called Corpse. So this will offer you a powerful and challenging resource that you can use to achieve super high damage and much more. So then let's move over to the build, and for your skills you want to go with the Soulfire, Bone Wall, Command Golem, Command Skeletons and Corpse Explosion. So first of all, the first ability is called Soulfire, that shoots a ball of shadow fire that explodes, inflicting bunch of damage to the target, and as well 25% as much damage to all nearby enemies. Then with this primary skill we get as well our ultimate, which will change your skill, so now the Soulfire, instead of shooting basic attacks, you will be able to shoot multiple bone spirits that seek out enemies and deal damage. Overall we chose the skill because of its really good damage, and because you get an ultimate, which happens to be the best ultimate in the game. So then moving over to the second ability, which is the Command Skeletons, and this ability lets you summon a bunch of skeletons that you can command to charge to a specific location, and passively the skill as well spawns new skeletons every 8 seconds. Overall this is a super cool ability that lets you summon minions to tank the damage for you, and at the same time they will do very high damage to the enemy. Then for the next ability we have the Corpse Explosion, and this ability will detonate all corpses in the targeted area, each corpse dealing damage to all nearby enemies. Overall this is amazing skill, which will let you use Necromancer's specific resource called Corpse. So the idea is that you kill monsters, and each monster turns into a corpse. So then you can use those corpses to activate your skill and do a lot of damage. So then for the next ability we have the Command Golem, and this skill will let us summon a golem for 24 seconds that will deal damage and stun all far nearby enemies. And because we will be using this legendary item, we will be able to improve our golem, and now all enemies that get attacked by him will be burning as well. And then lastly the fifth ability is called Bone Wall, and because we are using the ever-grasping Westman's chest armor, this skill will transform a bone wall into a line of skeletal soldiers, and all of them will charge forwards and do a bunch of damage. So as all Necromancers rely on their minions, so with this build we want to get as much damage as possible, and all of our minions and golems from 3 of our builds will be able to help us with that. But if you are not interested in doing damage and supporting, but you want to be 100% a support player, then I recommend specifically for you to switch to this build. So you want to take the Dire Curse instead of the Corpse Explosion, and you want to take the Bone Armor instead of Bone Wall. But like I said, only switch to this when you're specifically doing group content and you want to support your team, but for everything else use the first main build. So then moving over to the rotation, and you first of all want to start by running around the dungeon and aggro a bunch of monsters. Then afterwards use your Bone Wall to push the enemies into a tight spot. Then now use and command your golem to leap into the enemies. Then now use the Command Skeletons and command them as well. And then from here we just keep on spamming the Soulfire skill, and when you see a bunch of corpses on the ground, detonate them by using the Corpse Explosion ability. Remember that your main job as a Necromancer is to summon and command your minions while kiting the enemies, and if you ever can, then just keep on spamming the Soulfire basic attack, and that's about it. So then let's go over to the best Necromancer attributes, and the main attribute that you want to get is Intelligence, and then secondary attribute is Vitality. And the way you do this is by using equipment that either way has Intelligence or Vitality. And for your weapons you first of all want to prioritize how much damage it does, and then secondary the attribute. So then moving over to your equipment, and this is how your gear should look like. So first of all for your offhand you want to go with the Baleful Trinity and socket in the Seeping Bile Gem. And we chose this item because of its perks that will give your Soulfire ability one more additional target, so you will be able to do a lot more AoE damage. And then lastly, if you awaken this item, then your Soulfire damage will be increased by 10%. Then for the main hand, we want to go with the Desolatoria and socket in the Blood-Soaked Jade. Then for your perks, you get to transform your Command Golem skill to now summon an improved Golem, which will deal more damage and burn all enemies alive. And if you awaken, then your Golem will do 10% increased damage. Then moving over to the next one, which is the Leg Armor. and we want to go with the Sacral Causes and socket in the Zode Stone gem. And for your perks you will get to increase your bone wall duration for 25%, and if you awaken then your bone wall cooldowns get reduced by 10%. Then moving over to the shoulders, and we want to go with the Rasper and socket in the Carson's Invigoration gem. Then for your perks you make your corpse explosion detonate the corpses, but instead of one single explosion, now those corpses will turn into a poison smoke, which will do a bunch of damage over a longer period of time. And then lastly, if you awaken, then your corpse explosion gets a 10% increased damage. Then for one of the last items we have the chest armor, called Ever Grasping Vestments, and we put in the Berserker's Eye gem. Then for your perks you will get to turn your bone wall skill to now summon a line of skeleton soldiers that charge forwards and deal a bunch of damage. And if you awaken the skill, then your soldiers will get 10% increased life. And then lastly we have the helmet, which is called the Visitant Sign, and we put in the Everlasting Torment gem. Then for your perks, you increase your command golem duration for 20%, and if you awaken then your skills get reduced by additional 10%. Then for your charm you want to get this exact piece that gives all of your skills that you use damage increase. And then last but not the least, for your neck, we go with the Shepherds and Architect, and we socket in the Ruby, Aquamarine and Citroen gem. Then for your finger, get the Shepherd and Father, and socket in the Tourmaline gem. Then for your other finger, get the Shepherd and Mother, and socket in the Tourmaline again. Then for your hands, get the Shepherd and Beastmaster, and put in 3 Tourmaline gems. Then for your waist, go with the Shepherd and Begator, and put in 3 Topaz gems. And then lastly for your feet, get the Shepherd and Leader, and socket in 3 Sapphire gems. And then just before we move on to the next part of the video, I want to clarify a few things on the armor. The exact items and gems I'm showing you are the best of the best, so it does not mean that you have to get perfect 5 out of 5 star gems or rank 20 items, but you simply use whatever is the best and available on your character, and bit by bit try to get these gear pieces and gems, then start equipping them, and this is how your full endgame build at 100% completion will look like. So then moving over to Awakening, and like I mentioned, for each gear, legendary items in Diablo Immortal can be awakened to unlock another perk on your item. To awaken a legendary item you need the item itself and a legendary gem at rank 10, as this feature is meant for super late game, so don't try to expect all items awakened, but when you can, your priority should be on awakening the offhand called Baleful Trinity, then your leg armor called Sacral Causes, then your shoulders called Rodspur, and then lastly your main hand called Desolatoria. And then from here you can awaken whatever item you want in whatever order you prefer. So then moving over to the gems, and we already covered the best gems that you want to use on your items in the gear section of this video. But in case if you can't get your hands on the best gems, then in the meanwhile I want to give you a few best alternatives that will be good as well. So the best starter legendary gems are Everlasting Torment, Fervent Fang, Berserker's Eye, Carson's Invigoration, Zode Stone and Chain Death. And then for normal gems you want to get the Tourmaline, Sapphire and Topaz. All of these gems will be useful and good alternatives, but like I said, for the best of the best, watch again the previous part of this video. So then with that said, moving over to the charm, and like I said in the gear part of this video, this is the charm that you want to get that will give your bones access to Corpse Explosion, Soulfire, Command Golem, Command Skeletons and Bone Wall. But especially at the beginning it's not that easy to get, so if this is the case, then your charm priority should be on getting the bonus for Soulfire, then Corpse Explosion, then Command Golem, then Command Skeletons, and then lastly the Bone Wall. If you have at least a charm with few of these abilities, then that will be already really good, but now you know at least what bonuses are the best and how much they are worth by ranking. And then lastly, like Alpha Snow, we can upgrade and rank up our gear and gems by salvaging gems and those items that we don't use, so then we can improve our equipment. But there's one last endgame feature that is called Family Bonus Stones. So when one of your primary 6 gear pieces reach rank 6, you can reforge that gear and improve it even more by putting in the Reforging Stone. And the 3 best stones for Necromancer is Vengeance Stone, Wildfire Stone and Ravager Stone. But like I have said many times, all of this is meant for super late game. So just try to get as high rank on your items as possible and then slowly start upgrading them with stones. So then moving over to the last and most important feature, which is the Paragon system. So you start gaining Paragon levels after hitting level 60. Each level grants you 1 Paragon point that you can allocate into any open category. In general, there are 5 categories and each one gives you more defense, XP bonuses and much more. So then for your Necromancer, right after you reach max level and start gaining Paragon levels, you want to put your points into the Vanquisher category. And this is how your first 50 points should be spent. So I recommend to unlock first of all the first damage node, then Zeal, then second damage node and then the Wrath. And then from here you can unlock all the other nodes in whatever order you prefer. But then for players with paragon level 100, then this is how your build should look like. Then for players with paragon level 150, then this is how it should look like. And then lastly for players with paragon level 200, then this is how your build should look like, and that's about it. So with that said, I really do appreciate everyone for watching guys, and I hope you enjoyed it. If you have any suggestions, feedback or other good Diablo Immortal builds that you would like to see in the next video, then feel free to leave your comments in the comment section down below. And while you're doing that, please click like, subscribe and enable that notification bell, so this way you could support the channel and you won't miss any more amazing content from me. With all this said, you have a nice day and I will see you in my next video, so take it easy, peace.